Bible quotes. Bible quotes this week. We got 2 of them. Okay. So, whoa, there's my son. First one comes from Genesis 1:27. This is in honor of the Pride movement here. As always, for those of you new tuning in, oh Lord, it's going to be a night like that tonight, huh? For those of you that are new, I read all of my Bible quotes from the Luther Bible 1545 translation. No Schofield here. Anyway. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them in God's image. Male, female. I didn't hear any pronouns in there. Pretty cut and dry, huh? And just in case, just before I get into the second one, I don't answer all the hate mail on me calling the people that control everything Edomites, because I've already covered it. All right, I've covered that months ago. And I will have your answer here as we get into the protocols. Actually, right before, I believe. What did I do? Yeah. So right before I read the protocols, you'll get my answer. All you calling me a dumbass and you're fucking too stupid. What research have you ever brought? Other than talking shit. That's all you've got. Anyway. The next one comes from Galatians 3:26 through 29. I changed it a little bit since I did my notes, but for you are all children of God through faith in Christ Jesus. For all of you who have been baptized have put on Christ. There is neither Jew nor Greek, neither slave nor free, nor is there male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. If you belong to Christ, then you are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Pretty cut and dry, ladies and gentlemen. I prepared a little piece earlier today. I was feeling a little froggy. The Marxists used the feminist movement to wrap their spidery legs around women and children. The feminist movement took women and children from their husbands and fathers. The way of Satan to take away the authority of man, for they are biblically harder to deceive. Authority by God, for Christ is the head of man. Man is the head of women, and God is the head of Christ. As men, we must make the godly decisions even when tempted in the garden like Adam from Eve. I'm digressing here. The feminist movement gave the lifeblood to the Pride movement by cutting the cycle of women to men to Christ. Satan once again deceived Eve, and now our children are being punished. It is our job as men to stand up to this atrocity, to answer to God again, to bring the nuclear family back together again, and to bring the attention of the world to the true problems we face, as the bastardization of our children is a tactic to cause division and make us a sinful, distracted, lost civilization. Bring back the fire of the creatures of God. Make life, love, and parenthood easy and without distraction again. Throw Satan in the pit where he belongs. Belong there he does. Anyway, let's see. Before I get into the protocols here, I'm going to read you what Henry Ford had to say about this. And this is a statement directly related to the protocols. Which was released in Russia shortly before the Bolshevik Revolution. Fun fact. And as I read it, I'll see how far I can get. I don't want to digress too much into it. I might make it about as far as Harrison did, or maybe not as far. But I'm going to continue to cover a piece of this every week until we get to the end of it. This is important. It tells the entire story of everything that's going on, why everything is theater. You'll see. But Henry Ford said, "The only statement I care to make about the protocols is that they fit in with what is going on. They are 16 years old and they have fitted the world situation up to this time. They fit it now." Henry Ford. I believe his book that he wrote was called The International Jew. I'll cover that as well. Not tonight, but eventually. All right, let's see with the okay, read tying them. And then, okay, so at the end of the protocols, I'll do my little rebuttal to all the hate mail I've been getting here. Let's turn on some, look at there. Woo! Yee-hee! It's eerily quiet in here tonight. I think I need to spice it up a little bit here. Let's get the record playing, huh? This one, unfortunately, is not vintage like the rest of them that I play. I had to save up for a month to get this thing, but it's worth it. All right. Let's get into it. The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion by Sergius Nihilus, translated by Victor E. Marsden. Here's the front cover. Of course, you can't actually find this book anywhere. I had to get into a Russian internet to find this, actually. Anyway, let's get into it here. Protocol number 1, what we believe. Let's discuss the differences between us Jews and the Goy. People are basically evil by nature. The bad people in this world far outnumber the good. So the best form of government is not one that holds reasoned discussions with its people, but one that uses tyranny. Most people would gladly become an all-powerful dictator and sacrifice the well-being of others for their own benefit. Where are they getting all this from, first of all? Where do people get their guidance, and what stops them from acting out their evil desires? I don't know, maybe Jesus Christ? In olden times, people behaved like animals and were guided by the force of their bestial instincts. Then as society developed, humans developed laws to follow, but these laws were based on those same natural instincts. So the only valid law is the law of nature, i.e., the use of force. Freedom is only an ideal. Nobody really has it, but if you want to win an election, it's good to preach the ideals of freedom, even if you plan to deprive your voters of it. That sounds like Donald Trump to me. Oh, do I have a picture of this here? No, I don't. Well, I guess. If your opponent believes in the concept of freedom, like as a libertarian, use that against him. I think that was more of a modern addition. I'm not completely sure the term libertarian existed back then. But because if he foolishly believes in freedom, he won't be willing to use that underhanded tactics that you do. He will play fair while you fight dirty. Any government that is based on freedom loses control over its people. This is a terrible thing because remember that people are basically bad, and the only way to guide them is by force. If a government is guided by freedom, the people will become weak. We can take advantage of that weakness to overpower them and install a new government. Let me see here. I want to get into the part that okay, economic. Okay, here we go. Okay. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just trying to definitely hit the pride crap tonight. All right. Well, I'll skip ahead to this and then I'll pop back next week. But here's a fun one. Gold. There was a time when religion was the guiding force of mankind, but now money is more important than religion. Money, especially gold, is the new guiding force because it gives power and freedom to the common people. But that freedom is bad because they'll always want more and don't know how to use it. We can't allow that. Self-governance or governance can be given to the masses, but only long enough for them to form a disorganized mob. At that point, we should intervene to create strife and racial hatred. Here you go. Here's a fun one. This At that point, we should intervene to create strife and racial hatred between their different classes and races. This will cause them to fight and kill each other, hopefully starting a civil war. Once a nation is engaged in civil war, it will either destroy itself or be weakened to the point where it can be overtaken by another foreign power. In either case, our job will be done as they'll no longer be a threat to us. If that nation ends up in bankruptcy, which America is knocking on the door of that, we'll offer to loan them some of our money. They'll have no option but to take it. Kind of like Hitler as well. If anyone claims that the above is immoral, let me ask them this. Suppose a nation has two enemies, an external enemy, which is a neighboring nation, and an internal enemy represented by political rivals who might try to overthrow the nation from within. Well, if it is acceptable to destroy the other nation without any regard to morals, then why should it not also be acceptable to destroy the internal enemy? After all, it's the more dangerous of the two and the more likely to succeed in destroying society. Okay, well, what if you're actually on the plane of being against foreign wars? What then? What then are you going to do? Because most of the people in the freedom movement are completely anti-war. Who in their right mind would expect to govern the people by the use of reasoned debate? I don't know, because that makes sense. Because those people who are really quite stupid when compared to you could then counter your arguments with their own silly arguments, and then you'd have to keep debating them. You'd get nowhere. The people that make up society are lame-brained numbskulls who never achieve anything. They spend their time following astrology charts and football. They obviously can't think logically, and that's why I do this show, to try to pull you away from all that shit. In fact, the only time they agree on anything is when we trick the majority of them into believing something. So they may as well just let us do our job of ruling them. Otherwise, the whole nation will erupt into anarchy. Hence, MAGA becoming MIGA. Politics has nothing to do with morals. Anyone who tries to govern according to morals is a moron and unsuitable for office. A true politician must resort to cunning and lies if he expects to get anywhere. Great qualities such as honesty and integrity are a burden for any ruler. Anyone in politics who decides to start behaving like this, their career will be over before they know it. Most Goyim believe that their rulers should have these qualities, but of course, we know better. Might is right. There is a common held belief that all people are born with rights, meaning that they should be allowed to do or have certain things in life, regardless of who they are. But there is no way of proving this, except for reading the motherfucking Bible. That's how. What is a right? Where does it begin and end? If a ruler starts granting rights, then everyone will start demanding new rights. Okay, soon the nation will be overrun with rights, and the ruler will look stupid. From this, I conclude that there is only one right, the right of the strong over the weak. It gives a ruler the power to do whatever he wants and to become supreme lord over those people who had better give up their rights to him voluntarily. Our method of gaining power is better than any other because it grows invisibly. Then, when it has gained enough strength, we can unleash it, and it will be unstoppable because no one will be prepared for it. We need to do a lot of evil things in order to gain power, but that's okay because once we have power over everything, we can use it to do good things. So if you did complete absolute evil to get to that point, then all of a sudden you're going to turn it into good. Fuck you, man. Like running the nations properly. We can never do that if we gave people freedom. The end justifies the means. So let's put aside moral issues and focus on the end result. We have a good long range plan here, Agenda 2030, and we can't afford to deviate from it. Otherwise, all our work over the centuries would have been for nothing. In order to plan our actions effectively, we must take into account that the common people are an incoherent mob of blathering idiots who can't even look after themselves. That I actually agree with. Ever drive or look at people while you drive? Most of them are just, or the classic, yeah, there is a lot of blubbering fucking idiots, okay? But if we could just reach them just enough to know what's going on and get them away from the football, get them away from all this other meaningless fucking bullshit, get them to stop focusing on left versus right, which you could argue I do a little bit, but mainly I don't want people influencing my kids into lopping their genitalia off, okay? Which I realize I play into their game as well, but there comes a happy medium area where you can't just not talk about something because then they can just freely do whatever the fuck they want and they just take over, which I'll get into hopefully tonight. Damn it, I didn't realize it was that far in about the using liberalism to soften the opponent. Maybe we'll get into it. I'm just going to read to We Are Dispos, and then I'll try to skip ahead to the liberalism shit. Anyway, these people are blind, senseless, and have no ability to reason. In fact, they'll get suckered in by anyone. While the majority of them are total nincompoops that would follow one another over a cliff top, as they have no leadership skills, especially one, or occasionally one might emerge who appears to have some degree of intelligence. However, even these people don't understand how to lead, and if you let them, it'd bring a whole nation to ruin. Seems like you're the ones that are going to be bringing a whole nation to ruin. Only someone trained from childhood to serve as a leader can truly understand politics. So a buddy of mine was telling me today that in Russia, when Obama was just a baby or a little kid, probably 4 or 5 years old, they were I don't know who it is. Hopefully next week I can, you know what, let's look that up next week. Obama baby leader. The Russians released an interview where they were talking about how the first American black president was being groomed to take control as a child. Yeah, they start small. They're from the day they're born. They get tossed into this whole thing. They're taught all this. They're brainwashed. Well, you can kill 1 million people as long as it serves the greater good. And that's why Trump doesn't have any fucking remorse for anything he does. That's why Bush didn't. That's why Obama didn't. That's why Biden doesn't. That's why Bill Clinton has no remorse for killing all these people. That's why George H.W. has no. Anyway, go all the way down the list. They've all been trained since they were babies. Okay? And these documents tell you that's the plan. That's the plan. I've got like 3 or 4 other books I need to cover on this whole thing. But anyway, people left to look after themselves will be brought to ruin. That's because their leaders who emerge from among them are only interested in power and glory. Is it possible for these people to put aside their self-interests and manage the affairs of their nation? Like, can they defend themselves from an external enemy? No way. When a project of that scale is divided up among many dim-witted members of their society, it becomes unintelligible to them. Let's see. Page 1, 2, 3. Don't want to lose where we're at. We are despots. All right, so let's see where we're at on. Let's see here. I know it's here. Now, here's a fun one I'll get into next week. But Goyim are always drinking alcohol or thinking about doing so. We cause this to happen by using our many agents to promote it as part of their culture. It increases immorality and makes their use stupid. Okay. Sorry, I'm just speed reading here real quick. Okay, there'll be puppets on there. How they talk about the media. I'll get into that next week. Yeah, here's a fun one. I have some good news. We're only a few steps away from our goal. There's a small way to go, but when we get there, we'll have achieved the closing of our symbolic snake. The snake represents the spreading of our people across Europe. When the snake closes into a loop, the whole of Europe will be locked into its constricting coils. So let me get into that just a little bit. Look at Great Britain. Germany was completely disarmed in World War II, but Great Britain, the third worlders going in there have more rights than the natives that live there. With the whole, oh my gosh, I didn't even cover him this week, did I? Well, I digress. I don't want to say the wrong words or anything like that, but like I've covered in the past, like women get raped, they turn in the third worlder, and the woman gets more prison time than the person that raped her. It's it's on purpose. That I'm telling you, their plan right here. This is exactly what they have done. Weimar Germany is the absolute in-world example of this. All right. I'll try it just a little bit longer. I don't want to. I got so much more to cover here, but this is important. Oh my. Okay. Because the dictators. Nation. Okay, here we go. All right. We shall destroy God. Even freedom might be harmless and have its place in our state economy without harming the well-being of the people if it is based on a faith in God and on the brotherhood of humanity, providing that it remains disconnected with the concepts of equality. Equality is negated by the very laws of creation, for these laws have established subordination. With faith such as this, a people might be governed by a trusteeship of parishes and would walk contentedly and humbly under the guiding hand of its spiritual pastor while submitting to the plans of God upon earth. This is the reason why it is essential for us to undermine all faith, to tear out the mind of the Goyim and the principle of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and to put in its place arithmetical calculations and material needs. In order to give the Goyim no time to think and notice what is happening, their minds must be diverted towards industry and trade. Thus, all the nations will be swallowed up in the pursuit of gain, and in the race for it, they won't notice their common enemy. But again, in that order, freedom may once and for all disintegrate and ruin the communities of the Goyim. We must put industry on a speculative basis. The result of this will be that the wealth which is mined from the earth will not be invested in the productive industry, but will pass to institutions that deal in speculation, such as gambling, which are under our ownership. The intensified struggle for superiority and the shocks delivered to economic life will have already created disenchanted, cold, and heartless communities. Such communities will lose interest in and foster a strong aversion towards sound political management and religion. Their only guide will be that of monetary gain, i.e. gold, which they will erect into a bona fide cult for the sake of those material delights which it can give, which is what Hollywood pushes. That's why your NFL players make an ungodly amount of money. Makes you to strive towards just having those material things and not worrying about what you got at home. No, don't worry about your kids, none of that shit. You just got to chase that dollar. Don't worry about a crew that you're comfortable with, that's treated you good. No, you leave that and you go chase the money. I understand. Trust me, I get it. I wish I was making more money. This, that, the other thing. But there's a give and take in this. But you have to realize that your struggle is completely planned by these people. We'll just call it the Zionists. They're the Edomites. Anyway. Oh, it must be a little later on about how they inject liberalism so that we destroy ourselves. I'm going to research a little better. I'll bring you more next week, more in depth. I mean, Harrison Smith is the fucking king, dude. I can't compete with that. But it was brought to my attention by him, and I'm going to continue doing this. We all got to stand together. Together. We're all going to fall together. At least we're going to know what's going on and know that we did our damnedest to make sure we woke up as many people as humanly possible. Anyway, let's get into my rebuttals here quick. Internet. Oh my god. Wrong phone. Here we go. Yeah, oh, this guy's full of himself. He even shows clips of himself on his own fucking show. Well, I'm just telling you that I offered my rebuttal already, and I'm not going to continue wasting my motherfucking time dealing with you assholes, dude. Like, can't we have like a normal debate like regular people? Can't we do that? No, everything's hate driven and talking shit and fucking fuck you. You're a fucking retard. Okay, well, here's my rebuttals, okay? Listen to the story of the Edomites. As history progressed, Edomites went on to become known as the Idumeans. Here it is important to note that many nations have been rendered new names which obscure their biblical origins. To reconnect nations back to Shem, Ham, and Japheth, you'll have to do some digging.
Okay, so in September 2016...
That's the first part.
This is Obadiah 1:21. The deliverers will ascend Mount Zion to judge the mountain of Esau, and the kingdom will be the Lord's.
Oh, shit.
Here's another fun little fact here. Modern DNA evidence published in the Cell, the genomic history of the Bronze Age, southern Levant, confirms the Ashkenazi are Canaanites, not Shemites. They are the Edomites that were prophesied to occupy Jerusalem in the last days. In Obadiah 1:15-21 to Zechariah 14:21.
Yeah.
Genesis 36:2-3. Relations between the Edomites and Israelites started off cordial, Deuteronomy 23:7. However, the Edomites betrayed Jacob and sided with Babylon during the siege of Jerusalem, Ezekiel 25:12-14.
Tell my man MJ Truth Ultra over on that.
And these are just a small bit of all that. All you got to do is
his birthright. The Lord became indignant toward him and his descendants forever. And Genesis 9:25. Esau went on to marry 2 Canaanite women, the cursed descendants of Ham, and enemies of Israel. Deuteronomy 20:17. This nation became known as Edomites. My God, I can't I remember this right now?
You found a controversial verse in Genesis 6, which has to do with a prophecy that Jesus said.
But you get the point. I mean, you have to remember that we're dealing with the state of Israel, okay? The Star of David is never mentioned a single time in the Bible. There's only one star, and that's the Star of Remphan. And it just so happens that the Rothschild's family crest is the six-pointed, or the pentagram, okay? I'll just leave it at that. If you want to see more about what I have to say about this and my rebuttal to all your guys' bullshit, just go to X and type in Vinmeister33 Edomites. It's pretty easy. I know people don't want to take time and actually fucking investigate anything or anything like that, but it's there. It's all there for you to see. I do this for a reason. I don't regret anything I put on here or nothing, because this is my truth. And I research the living shit out of all of this. Anyway, let's see what the state of Israel is up to. Like I said, I'm not doing the full-on Israel news like I usually do. We got tons to cover tonight. Oh, let's see. Burner phones. Where's that at? Oh, right at the bottom here. Not quite the bottom, but there we go. Here we go. This comes from Graffinati19. If you go to his website at the Ungovernable Project, I just got some deodorant from him, and it is the best ever. Completely clean. It's all natural. It's like Dr. Squatch is okay. I realize you can get that at Walmart. It's like $2 cheaper than his. But I tell you, I haven't had a single, I work 10, 11 hours out in the sun and no BO, okay? No BO. Anyway, I'm digressing here. Graffinati19 says, this is insane, man. From the General. Breaking, top U.S. officials have to use burner phones as the Pentagon classifies Israeli spies in the White House as a hostile foreign power. Oh, no shit. Some of us have known this for a long time. Anyway, the next one. Israel spying, no shit. Alright, here we go. From the New York Times. The Pentagon has raised its counterintelligence threat level for Israel amid concerns about eavesdropping on U.S.-Iran talks. But yet we're gonna implement them into our military, huh? We're just gonna merge, even though they're obviously spying on us, even though they forced us into the war in Iran because they threatened to. I can't completely say nuke them, but knowing Israel and their threats, I could see that happening. Let's see. Hopefully, I got it in this. Something they did in the 70s, I believe. I think I got it on here. I hope. President. Oh, I missed one. Huh. All right. At the great Harrison H. Smith on X, they literally think that you shouldn't be allowed to defend yourself against them. Israel's ambassador brings drone to UN to complain about Hezbollah's FPVs. No, let me back up. I'm going to have to read it for you. All right. This is an example of a drone used by Hezbollah. It is what we are dealing with now. It is Hezbollah using different kinds of drones. Few of them which fiber optic. These doors weigh less than 2 kilograms. It flies low. It's very difficult to detect. By the time you hear above your head, it's too late. It can fly undetected. It can fly undetected for tens of miles. And all of a sudden you see above your head A thin cable. Is what makes this drone different. It does not rely on radio signal. It cannot be easily jammed. Fortunately, it gives an operator. Okay, so basically, you're just listening to them bitch about the same tactics that they use when they are defending themselves. You went into their homeland. Like, how are you going to cry about that when you're using the same shit? You're dropping white phosphorus on these people. Anyway, let's see. I got a secret one in here. I forgot to write down President Netanyahu. Oh, yeah. So this is about the NDAA Section 244, where we are going to be, or they're trying to, the House will probably vote on it next month, where the IDF is going to merge with the American military. Just merge, not partners, nothing. They're going to be the same entity. Now I didn't really want to get into this, but the IDF has already been working with ICE. They've already, I showed months ago that IDF soldiers were a part of ICE. They built massive FEMA camps that was supposedly to house the illegals. We got to get these illegals out. They didn't ever give a fuck about the illegals. They're not getting rid of nobody. We're not getting mass deportations. The fun thing about these FEMA camps is they have incinerators in them, and they are, I think, the conglomeration of the FEMA camps themselves are able to hold, like, what was it, like 500,000 nationwide? Oh, and the camps are only built to sustain people for a max of 60 days. So what do you think is going to happen? Or what do you think they're trying to make happen if we just stay silent and continue to allow this to happen? What if the IDF becomes the U.S. military? What happens then? I mean, I know we're pretty much there already. But once it's on paper, like, these people ain't hiding anymore. This isn't hiding anymore. They're in the rollout stage. And AI and all that shit is advanced beyond the point to where they know that their ass is covered. So even if we all know, they're going to roll this shit out. That's why you need to stand up against the data centers. Stand up against them. It might already be too late, but fuck, if we got a fighting chance, this is our last little straw. Like I said, talk to your cop friends, your military friends. Show them this shit, please. Anyway, so this is from Benjamin Netanyahu. I am heartened by your enthusiastic support for our plan to develop a new memorandum of understanding with the United States government that will draw down U.S. financial military assistance over the next decade and replace it with what you refer to as a new framework of joint defense cooperation, co-development, co-production, and mutual investment in areas including advanced missile defense, AI, unmanned systems, cybersecurity, and next-generation military platforms. Signed, Benjamin Netanyahu, the man that wrote the NDAA Section 244 law that they're trying to pass in the new defense bill. I don't know how much more. I don't know how else I can drive it home. Maybe we should listen to Charlie Kirk and how he feels about all this, huh? They killed him and tried to silence him, but posthumously.
And going to continue to ask the question, a 20-hour response in a country the size of New Jersey. That begs a big explanation. And more importantly, America is significantly underwriting the Israeli government $4 billion a year. We as American taxpayers deserve answers to this. We deserve answers. Also, if we're going to get into a regional or world war based on an intel failure, so, we pay for this. What are we buying, right? I got smeared as a Jew hater, an anti-Semite, and conspiracy theorist because I said exactly what I just said. And I refuse to back down despite all the smears thrown at me because I learned during COVID. I learned when they told us that it came from a bat in the Himalayas. I learned when they told us the vaccine was safe and effective. I learned when they told us that ivermectin was horse paste, that you better keep asking questions because it's the only thing that keeps us free. Thank you so much.
What role in the Middle East again does Israel play in this?
Israel was created as the instrument to bring about the battle of Armageddon and the fulfillment of prophecy, a war that would be so terrible.
If you want to do some light reading, I strongly recommend getting Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. This is a fun little thing that the president of Colombia sent out today. Where's that at? Oh my. What was that? Shit. Okay. Work for me. Sorry. There you go. This comes from Gustavo Petro. He retweeted or reposted on X from El Espectador. Colombia does not need more rhetoric. It needs order, authority, and economic freedom. Felipe Zuleta Leras and Gemini AI. But what's interesting is what the president said. He said, "Heil Hitler." We've reached that point, huh? Well, I guess Hitler wasn't wrong when he said that people are going to know, or people are going to understand what I did from the grave, and I will be basically exonerated or whatever. Anyway, let's get into the Pride, Pedo, and Epstein section. Celebrate hetero pride. This comes from where are we at here? Yeah, right towards the top. Okay, this comes from JP Sears at Awaken with JP on X. I saw this. I thought it was hilarious.
I'm hetero. As a heterosexual, this is the month that everyone should recognize and celebrate my sexuality, which has always been a fantasy of mine. It's kind of hot. What do I take the most pride in? My values, my accomplishments, my morals, how I treat people. No, I take the most pride in where I stick my penis. Women. I think vaginas are terrific. Yes, I think corporations should do special hetero logos for this month. I mean, it's their job to make me feel sexually validated. And if they don't, I'll take my business elsewhere. Okay? As great as this month is, some people don't like to celebrate. They're like, oh, sexuality is something that should be expressed privately. Well, public displays of sexuality are a real turn on for me. And I need to use other people for that, with or without their consent, because it honors my bravery as a person. Yeah, I just live a few houses down. I have a penis between my legs. This is locked. Sexuality is the last thing that should be private. It's not that hard to celebrate Hetero Pride Month. All you have to do is ask yourself, how can I sexualize everything I do? It's appropriate. This is the month to be loud and proud. Last night I told this lady, I'm hetero, like, aggressively. Vaginas are just where it's at for me. And she was like, I'm just trying to sell you Girl Scout cookies. I was like, how can you when you don't know this about me? So she started crying and I was proud. So empowering. Hey, how's it going, neighbor? Yeah, I'm aroused by women. I honestly don't understand why some people have to be so heterophobic and not be interested in my sexuality this month. It's like when a guy goes to a park and exposes his private parts to a stranger. What's wrong with that?
It makes the stranger feel violated.
Violated? Why can't they be interested? Show some solidarity with me, bigot. I wonder why they call them private parts. Doesn't make sense. You think they'd be called public parts. I think they should do a remake of Brokeback Mountain for my community. Little hetero representation would be nice. It's one thing if you make everything about you, that kind of makes you a narcissist. But if you make everything about your sexuality, what's that?
Perverted.
Brave. Hey, you want to know where I like to stick my penis?
No, not at all.
Well, I want you to know.
Get away from me, creep.
In women,
I'm calling the cops.
I'm being brave. That's discrimination right there. Because I'm hetero.
Anyway.
Well, not watching the NBA anymore. Their logo's not catering to my sex drive. Yes, sexuality is a basic physiological function that all animals in nature have.
I don't want to play it
But I
too
take
long.
pride in my other physiological functions as well.
Yeah, just imagine if it was turned the other way around, huh? Oh, anyway. More gay demons. Viewer discretion advised. Baby was sexually abused before being killed by man adopting him, court told. Boy died aged 13 months after routine abuse by Jamie Varley and his partner John McGowan Fazakerly. Jury hears. Josh Wood, I effing killed him. Gay man charged with murder of baby boy he adopted. The baby's cause of death was acute upper airways obstruction as a result of smothering by hand, fabric, or inserted object. The child had suffered 40 injuries, including external and internal bruising and a fractured arm. Detective found videos on Varley's phone, recorded earlier that day with the boy lying on the bed with respiratory arrest, but the defendant did not seek medical help. Varley is charged with murder, manslaughter, 2 counts of assault by penetration, 5 counts of cruelty to a child, grievous bodily harm, sexual assault of a child, 13 counts of taking indecent photos or videos of a child, 1 of distributing an indecent photo of a child. A month before the child's death, Varley told a social worker he wasn't bonding with the child and was having dark thoughts about him, including thoughts of drowning or suffocating the baby. He said he would never act on them. They let him keep the baby anyway. Family structure is a child safety issue. Children are safest with their mother and father. Jeez, we got some real glare going here. Hold on. There we go. They are most at risk in homes with unrelated adults, men most of all. When a child enters foster care, we must do all we can to ensure their safety. The system failed this little boy. Oh, and here's a comment on here. No need to mention gay. The guy is a monster. I know absolutely 0 gay men who would be capable of such abuse. Now, if there was an epidemic of gay men killing babies, like trans violence or pit bull violence, it would be worth noting and looking deeper into root causes. Leading with gay man may as well be white man or clothed man. You can't indict people with one characteristic because one guy with that character. Anyway, when you talk about family structure, unrelated men are the most dangerous to a child. We screen and vet in adoption specifically because any child with someone other than their biological mother and father is at a greater risk. The fact it is 2 unrelated men is relevant. And I come on here every week and I tell you about these cases. You're not going to tell me that the Pride movement is about acceptance and that's it. No, fuck you. You're trying to bastardize our children. And you're too stupid to realize that you're part of a depopulation agenda. Anyway, more woke. Let's get into more woke. New York bill redefines parental language. Mother is supposed to be called the gestating parent. Father, non-gestating parent. Paternity proceedings is parentage. New York Democrats added... okay, I don't follow the Democrat-Republican bullshit. It kind of irritates me, to be honest. I just told you a little bit ago that it is all planned.